The first attack on U.S. naval vessels came on 17 May 1987, when an Iraqi jet mistook the frigate Stark for a tanker and struck it with 2 Exocet missiles. 37 American sailors died, and many more would have perished had not the damage control effort been so extraordinary and heroic. Floating mines became a prominent Iranian method of attack in the Persian Gulf. Using everything from Marines and SEALs to destroyer gunfire, the U.S. Navy began sinking mine layers and destroying old oil platforms used as a base of operations. Despite these preventative measures, the guided missile frigate Samuel B. Roberts struck a mine on 14 April 1988, nearly splitting the ship in half. Nevertheless, no lives were lost and the proficient crew saved the ship, proving the dramatic importance of continuous ship-wide damage control training. On 3 July 1988, Iranian gunboats engaged USS Vincennes, a guided missile frigate. While fighting the attackers, Vincennes' radar indicated an approaching aircraft descending toward it. Determining the aircraft to be aggressive, the Vincennes shot it down, only to discover it was an Iranian passenger plane with 290 civilians aboard. The long, detailed investigation of the tragic accident concluded only that the stress of combat made such tragedy inevitable. It proved that no matter how sophisticated the Navy's defense systems may be, people must make the final decisions based on the information provided. On 20 August 1988, the 8-year war between Iran and Iraq ended. Of the 270 merchant ships escorted by U.S. Navy vessels during the last 18 months of the war, only 1 incurred damage. By December 1988, U.S. naval operations were reduced to monitoring activities in the Persian Gulf. The end of the Iran-Iraq War did not bring peace to the region. By August 1990, Saddam Hussein had turned on neighboring Kuwait, making exorbitant demands despite the tiny emirate's generous support during the war. A meeting on August 2, 1990 to work out differences failed. The next day, Iraqi infantry and armored forces crossed the border to invade Kuwait. With its troops lining the border of Saudi Arabia and reinforcements continually arriving in Kuwait, Iraq was in a position to seize the Saudis' eastern province, giving Saddam Hussein control of most of the world's oil reserves, a prospect intolerable to the industrialized West and to Japan. Immediately condemning the invasion, President George Bush swiftly led the organization of an international coalition of forces to oppose Iraq's aggression and prevent its invasion of oil-rich Saudi Arabia. Led by the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff, military planners hurriedly devised Operation Desert Shield to defend the Gulf and Saudi Arabia and to enforce economic sanctions. The hope was that economic sanctions against Iraq would persuade Saddam Hussein to remove his troops from Kuwait. But because this seemed unlikely, the coalition initiated a formidable military buildup in the Persian Gulf and surrounding areas. On August 8, President Bush ordered the massive troop, aircraft, and ship deployment of Desert Shield. Within 8 hours of the order, maritime prepositioning ships were steaming full speed toward the Middle East, loaded with supplies and equipment, while civilian crews quickly answered the call of the ready reserve. From the start, the coalition dominated the seas as well as all other areas of warfare. While land and carrier-based air forces weakened the Iraqi military and isolated Saddam Hussein, the Maritime Interception Force enforced the embargo. The coalition forces were successful in preventing the invasion of Saudi Arabia. However, Iraq defied the UN deadline of 15 January 1991 to withdraw from Kuwait. In the pre-dawn darkness of 17 January 1991, Operation Desert Storm struck Iraq with terrifying force. The roar of carrier and Air Force aircraft thundered across the waters while rockets and missiles streaked across the sky. In the first 2 days of attack, Navy ships and submarines launched a hailstorm of 216 Tomahawk missiles at designated Iraqi military targets. A-6 intruders hit Iraqi mine layers, coalition minesweepers cleared the waters, and U.S. service ships provided gunfire support and destroyed enemy-occupied oil platforms. U.S. Army and Marine Corps armor streamed across the desert, knocking out Iraqi elements wherever they found them. On April 11th, a stunned Iraq officially agreed to a ceasefire, and the UN Security Council declared the end of the war. The combined maritime and naval air campaign played a vital role in bringing a quick end to the conflict. Afterwards, U.S. ships stayed behind to search the skies and the sea for remaining hazards and to protect the volatile region from further threats. Desert Storm was the most dramatic illustration of how U.S. military power could be used in the post-Cold War era, which began with the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1988 and 1989. The U.S. Navy's role was destined to become much more diversified than it had been in the 4 decades following World War II, when bipolar tension with the Soviet Union determined American military and naval strategy. While serving as a peacekeeper in countries such as Bosnia, Somalia, and Haiti, the post-Cold War U.S. Navy also assumed the role of policing the seas to help counter narcotic trafficking. The post-Cold War era also brought the demise of the U.S. maritime strategy of deterrence centered around Reagan's 600-ship Navy. Without a Soviet Navy to justify this strategy, the need for a naval concept of command of the seas and battle fleet engagements was eliminated. Thus, in 1992, the Navy issued a new strategy, appropriately entitled From the Sea. Based on this strategy, the U.S. Navy would launch weapons from the sea against land-based targets. Its prime objective would be to protect areas bordering the oceans and major seas and to remain a prime promoter of democracy abroad. The new strategy was also devised to deal with the downsizing of the Navy mandated by President Bill Clinton and Congress. By 1994, a somewhat more sea-oriented strategy was resurrected entitled Forward from the Sea. Shifting slightly back towards emphasis on a blue water force, the Navy contended that it must maintain readiness for a full spectrum of missions and functions. Maintaining this strategy today, the United States Navy now engages in forward areas in situations short of war. Its objectives are to prevent conflicts and control crises with striking power built around aircraft carrier battle groups and amphibious ready groups. The U.S. Navy's future holds promise of even greater technological advances than those of the 1990s. It's already making plans for a futuristic warship, which will be known as the Arsenal ship. Navy leaders envision it as a missile-laden, forward-deployed ship capable of instantaneously supporting forces ashore with a minimal crew. The Arsenal ship's potential utility was demonstrated suddenly in September 1996 when President Clinton ordered 2 sets of airstrikes against Iraq in retaliation for an invasion of Kurdish territory in the north and to preclude an Iraqi strike against U.S. and Allied forces in Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. For the first time in memory, no American aircraft took part in the raid. It was conducted solely by cruise missiles, most of them launched from U.S. frigates and submarines. Never before had the aircraft carrier been denied a role in a major aerial attack on foreign land targets. The missile age of the U.S. Navy had dawned dramatically. The United States has come a long way since it first outfitted 2 wooden ships with 10 carriage guns to serve as a navy. And though we will enter the 21st century with the most technologically advanced Navy in history, we can expect continual evolutions of its vessels and its strategy.